and welcome in everyone to this week's episode of Crazes Corner. This will be a Dynasty sell show. These are some guys that we're trying to trade right now if we have them on our team, trying to get rid of them either before their value decreases or just because we think that it's better to capitalize on what their value currently is. These are some guys, maybe they're a little bit overrated in fantasy landscapes right now. Maybe there's some guys that even though they could help you this year, you'll be able to get someone who can help you a little bit more. We just recorded a podcast on whether some guys you should trade for, some guys who can help you this year. Maybe you try and trade for one of those guys by trading one of these guys away. We got a couple quarterbacks here and another position. Our first guy we want to talk about here is my trade away candidate, and that's going to be Anthony Richardson with the Indianapolis Colts. I think everyone is super in on Anthony Richardson. I've seen people have him as high as their quarterback too. In redraft rankings and then dynasty rankings, I've had people who rank him as the number one quarterback because of that rushing upside that he brings. This is a guy that got injured 4 times in 4 games last season. He's a guy that we know how these rushing quarterbacks end up for the most part in the NFL, especially when they can't get that passing going for them. They play out their rookie contract, and then they never start in the NFL again. You look at kind of a Justin Fields career archetype where he's great for fantasy and then ends up on a different team. And now he might get another chance to start, but he's not, anyone's franchise quarterback. He's not a dynasty cornerstone piece. And that's kind of what I think you're going to get with Anthony Richardson. I have him for, just under 3,000 passing yards, 734 rushing yards. He doesn't come into my top 12 with those numbers, just because this Colts offense has also got Jonathan Taylor running the ball. So there's a lot to go around that way. This is an offense that, they'll probably score a few more touchdowns this year with Richardson and Minshew, but it's not a real super high volume offense. And I don't believe Anthony Richardson will be able to get the passing game going enough to where he can be, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And that's what he's going to need to be if he's going to be this top 2, top 3 dynasty quarterback. And I think you could capitalize, easily get, a Jalen Hurts back in return, or you could get, possibly even go get yourself a guy like Jordan Love. You can probably get Jordan Love plus for Anthony Richardson, and I would do that in a heartbeat. So I would definitely be looking to move Anthony Richardson at this point. Last year I traded him for CJ Stroud. And I'm looking back on that trade, and I couldn't be happier. Because I got C.J. Stroud and a first-round pick for Anthony Richardson in a second. So it's just flipping quarterbacks, gaining picks, or getting a better quarterback, I think, is what you can do in this position. Just get yourself a guy who's safer. You can still get a guy with upside. It's just a little bit safer, and a guy I would believe has longevity in the league that I don't believe Richardson has. Jeff, what do you think about Anthony Richardson and the Colts offense?
It's hard because he's got flashes to where he could be great. But just like you said, it's the injury history with that type of injury already, it's going to be interesting because I think he's still going to be forced to run the ball. We don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor, and then I'm not too excited with they had to lean on the Trey Sermon as the backup running back. So I'm like, what the heck are you going to do? Their receivers. I mean, I'm looking at it's not the greatest group of receivers that you have either. So you're going to have to focus on that run, which is something that's you're just asking for another injury to take place.
Yeah, he played stupid with the ball in his hand last year. He took the big hits, and that's his playing style. And if they take away his rushing ability and try and limit that, then he's not going to be a good NFL quarterback whatsoever. And he won't be good for fantasy, but if they don't take that away, I think the injury risk is extremely high for him going into this season. And if he plays like he did last year and he doesn't learn, even though he's a big guy, he's not going to last very long in the league. Will, what do you think about Anthony Richardson?
I think the league's changing. It just comes about his ability not to do stupid. Mm-hmm. I think he can have a long career as long as he decides he's not going to ruin his career by continuing to take those hits. And like he said, like Jeff said with Jonathan Taylor, just like if they can get in 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5, then his threat of running puts pressure, right? Because now the defense is, what are you doing? But it just comes back to like, did he learn? Is he going to be smart enough to think about 10 years instead of playing 3 years? And if he does, we'll know quick. He'll know early on, did he learn? Because it's going to be what it is. So I can understand moving him because you could probably get.
You can get a lot for him.
Yeah, you can get probably 2 or 3 first, depending on the league format.
Yep,
you can get a lot for Richardson right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At this point, like his value could go up, but at this point, when he's sitting here, this is probably could be very possibly the highest his value will ever be. So that's why I would temper my expectations and try and move him if I can. If I have to keep him, that the rushing upside is nice.
Yeah.
It's just a guy that I would be more comfortable not trying to watch him every week and just waiting on that big injury. Will, you also have a quarterback you're trying to trade away? A little bit of a different scenario. Who is that?
So, I think the Cowboys are going to mess this up with Dak Prescott just being here. Like, this contract's going to become an issue. I mean, there was a story yesterday about McCarthy's already on the hot seat. Being a Viking fan, Zim is in that room now. And I wonder if there's odds in Vegas about what game Zim punches McCarthy, if they're both on the sideline together. And then there's pressure, right? Because I could see Jerry Jones turning the team over to Zim 3 weeks in. So I just say all that. I don't think Dak feels welcomed. I think it's going to reflect with the team. But I think there's fans that see Zach, especially if you're in a super flex league. Hey, he's steady. He's consistent. He has talent around him. Let me get, I'll trade for him. I'm just saying, if you're going to get out on Dak Prescott, now's the time to get out. Because I think if you wait into the season, you're not going to be able to get much for him, if anything, as if you could right now. So get out while you can maximize value. Even if he has a good year, you don't know what's happening next year, where he's going to go. My gut is he ends up in Pittsburgh or New York. I don't get the sense that the Cowboys are going to re-sign him unless they go to a Super Bowl.
If he ends up in Pittsburgh, that'd be amazing for George Pickens. I could not be happier. But yeah, I think there's definitely some question marks around Dak Prescott, whether he gets his contract extension or wherever he goes, they're going to be paying him $260+ million. So it's going to take away what you can build around him. He is getting up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can really capitalize on his value, maybe get another better younger quarterback and some picks or something like that, I would definitely do it. I'm not opposed to just keeping him because no matter where he goes, I think he's still going to be okay. I think he'll still be startable. But if there's definitely someone who's very interested, or maybe he signs a contract, and then you capitalize on that massive new contract where he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, and get yourself something else. Plus, I would definitely be interested in that. This is a situation we're going to have to wait out and see. And the Cowboys, we know Jerry Jones is the most stubborn owner we've ever seen. And Dak Prescott's not going to settle for anything less than what Trevor Lawrence just got. Dak Prescott should have every right to earn more money than Trevor Lawrence is making. So we shall see how this goes. Jeff, any thoughts on Dak Prescott before we get into your guy?
Not really, because there's just so much, just up in the air. I mean, with that whole thing, I'm looking at getting rid of him because you don't know if CeeDee Lamb is coming back. I'm just like, who the hell is he going to be throwing to? You got Cooks there who is 99 years old, and then a bunch of guys that you don't know who the heck they are, with no running back, with Zeke there. I'm just like, what is happening here? So that would be my reason for getting rid of him. But again, I'm like, well, there'll be somebody that will try to take him. What will you get for him? I don't know.
Yeah, the Cowboys have to pay Dak, Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb, and they're probably not going to be able to pay all three of them.
I think if you're in a super flex league and you got a team that needs a second quarterback or a third quarterback, and they're competing, you could probably get a first round pick next year in something else.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, depending on where you are with your roster, is that extra pick next year plus some other value get you something that you want? Because maybe you get your pick, the extra pick, and now you're trading for Richardson or you're trading for someone at least has some more long-term value.
Yeah, if you're rebuilding too and you want to get rid of Dak and go younger, go for one of the rookie quarterbacks and then add some picks, depending on which guys you like, you could definitely do that. So I think that's a good strategy. Jeff, who's the last player you're trying to trade away?
Well, it's a guy that a lot of people are looking to draft this year, and it's not a quarterback, but Kyron Williams with the Rams. I am looking at selling high on him. Another guy, I'm hoping he doesn't go the way of Cam. What's his name? Gosh, give him early onset Alzheimer's. Akers, yeah. But getting hurt at the end of the year and everything else, and you got Blake Corum coming in, who is dang near like an Iron Man. I feel that backfield is going to be more to Blake Corum than it is for Kyron Williams.
I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if he gets hurt, or if Corum, he's been hurt in camp already. If Corum comes out and he plays well in relief of him, and then Kyron's going to be up for a new contract, will he be back with the Rams in this offense? They don't have too much invested in him. They said they just invested. I think he's a good sell high candidate because looking at Kyron Williams, what would have to happen for his value to be higher than it is right now this year? He would have to be the RB1 for his value to be higher next season. And I don't think he's going to be the RB1. So with that being said, I think you could probably trade him and just capitalize on this value right now. Will, what do you think?
Yeah. After this draft was another draft that just threw running backs into chaos, right? Because teams you didn't think would draft a running back drafted running backs and created situations where you're scratching your head like, well, who is playing? The running back position was already hard as it was. Now it's like, you just don't, so if you give value for him, there's probably 4 or 5 guys running backs you could list. Like if you can get value for him, you should take it.
Yep, I agree. So there's the 3 guys we would try and trade away. At this time in our Dynasty Leagues, we just did record a show where we talked about some guys you can go and trade for. So you can go check that on the YouTube channel as well. Thank you, Jeff and Will, for joining me. Make sure you go check out the media app. Big things are coming, working with a bunch of different people. This is going to be great coming out this year for sure. So definitely go check that out as well. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, Zach.
Perfect, guys. I got to run and pick up my son.